All right. Yes. Live stream. Here we go. All right, man. I'm really excited. I'm really excited here. Even though I'm super excited and I'm doing one of my favorite things to do on planet Earth, this is going to be my last live stream for a while. Unfortunately, as you can see, if you're watching this, there's StreamYard, which if you use the free version, they put almost every single advertisement on the planet on your live stream. I mean, they just load it up with advertisements. I mean, you can see it here on right here. It's powered by StreamYard, and then I got blocked here, StreamYard, but they changed their software where it used to be I could post the two platforms, and I was trying to do it on Twitch. And in the past, I've done Facebook. You got to pay for that service to post on something else besides YouTube. And I also thought about paying for it, but there's a thing called Streamlabs, which I also use, which a lot of gamers use. I tried doing a show with that software, and the thing is that software when I was first told about is that you could stream on like 5 or 6 platforms and it's free. Well, and then they start charging for it. And I know it's cheap and everything, but ultimately my goal is to get the message out. And I might come back when I start doing shows on a weekly basis or a daily basis. I may come back to start doing live streams again on Saturday, but I'm going to say at least the next couple of weeks, I'm going to stop doing live streams. Of course, I'm not going to do a live stream during a playoff game. I mean, that's just stupid, but even when the Saturday games are over with, I think I'm going to just take a break from doing the live streams, but keep in mind, you can always email me. I put it right down here, askandrewsfootball@yahoo.com. If you watched one of my videos, you see that I went ahead and hit on a bet. I Kansas City Chiefs over 10.5 wins. I went ahead and hit that. And you're not going to find somebody who has the football knowledge that I do. Bottom line. I consider myself maybe the premier football expert in the United States. And I know it's a bold statement. And somebody who if you're so good, why are you working 2 jobs? Well, you know what? I just started late, but I've always been a football fan, but now I'm trying to build that into something more. But one thing about gambling shows is that a lot of them will do like all sports. I only do football. And Andrew's football is not just about betting. But I really feel like when people say, hey, what makes you an expert? And I just flat out say, hey, look, I can make money betting on football. You want to make money betting on football? Just listen to me. I mean, it's that easy. I'm basically giving you free money. I don't get it. But even if you're not a better, man, let's just talk football. I don't care what. I mean, you want to talk about old time players. I recently joined a Facebook group, Golden Era 64 to 94. I thought that was a great idea. I don't know if I'd consider that the Golden Era or not, but I love talking old time football. I'm just a encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to football. So here's the direction of Andrew's football for next week. I'm going to break down every single playoff game in detail. I'm going to do a video on all games. Then I'm also going to do a Black Monday video. And I'm going to talk about that here now. Let's just start now. Latest NFL news, Ron Rivera is the primary candidate for the Washington Redskins. That's not a bad decision. I kind of thought that they would go somebody with an offensive background. Case in point, because you got a young quarterback who I think they really mismanaged this year in Dwayne Haskins. I thought getting a quarterback who's an offensive mind would be the best move. I think getting a guy who you can develop a franchise quarterback with would be a good move as head coach, but they've interviewed Ron Rivera and Marvin Lewis, two very good coaches. A lot of people will say Marvin Lewis is not a good coach because he couldn't get the Bengals to the playoffs, or couldn't get them a playoff win, but he was able to get them to the playoffs. Well, they fired him and they went 1-15. Well, maybe 2-14. So, I mean, Bengals fans, let me ask you something. Would you rather be 1-15 or would you rather be 10-6 and lose wild card game? As a Chiefs fan who sat through a 2-14 season, I would rather go to the playoffs and lose in the first round than to go 2-14. I'm telling you this for a fact. And don't sit here and tell me, well, you get that first round pick and then it doesn't usually work that way. It usually doesn't work that way, despite contrary to popular belief. So they're interviewing those two guys. Urban Meyer, everybody knows, sat in Daniel Snyder's suite to watch one of the games. Is he a candidate to be either a GM? I've been hearing some rumors that he possibly could be a GM. I don't see that happening at all. Could he be the head coach of the Washington Redskins? That does make sense. He was public saying that he would love to coach Dallas Cowboys. And bottom line, I think that the Washington Redskins job, of course, they're shopping around already, so that job's available. The Dallas Cowboys head coaching job, as soon as they are their season's over, I think Jason Garrett will be fired. Now, keep in mind they can still advance to the playoffs with they can still advance into the playoffs with an Eagles loss and a Cowboys win. But if Philly wins, then they're in. I think even if Dallas wins the NFC East, I think they'll lose in the first round of the playoffs. And I think Jason Garrett will be fired then. Now, if Jason Garrett wins 2 games in the playoffs, I think if he wins a wild card game, which I don't see happening at all. But let's just say he wins a wild card game. Let's say they get lucky and they play well. Is that enough to get him to come back? I actually don't think so. I think he has to win a minimum of 2 playoff games in order to keep his job. And I think that's like odds of that are probably out of 100%, I think less than 1%, because I don't see Philly losing, but I've seen weirder things happen. I mean, I have seen weirder things happen. So, but I do think Jason Garrett's going to be gone. I think Pat Shurmur is going to be gone for the Giants. And I'll be honest, out of those 3 teams, if I was a head coach and I wanted the team to take over, the job to take over would be the Giants. They got some youth on defense. They need some help on the defensive side of the ball, but they got some youth. You got your quarterback. You have, I think, the most physically gifted running back in the NFL. Maybe he's not the best running back in the NFL, but you got the most physically gifted running back in the NFL. So, in my opinion, I think the Giants' job is really a good one to have. They haven't been public about it. They normally aren't. The organization for the New York Giants has been steadily one of the best in the National Football League. I think the organization is hands down better than the Redskins organization. I also think it's better than the Dallas organization. Now, I'm not saying they're better in terms of spending money, but bottom line, you don't see the New York Giants owner after every game talk about personnel decisions or making comments. And that's something I think that really kind of undermines the head coach. You don't have players leaving, going to other teams saying, I don't even think the head coach determines who gets the ball. It comes from front office. Remember, Cole Beasley said that when he left as a free agent for Buffalo. So I think New York Giants' job is a very good job to have. News earlier in the week was that Matt Patricia is staying as head coach of the Detroit Lions. I'm kind of surprised about that. This was a team that when they lost to Kansas City, they were 2-1-1. I thought this team was going to the playoffs. I thought the Detroit Lions had a lot of good things. I liked what I saw in defense. Matthew Stafford, I think a lot more highly of. I'm shocked how Detroit Lions fans in media don't like Matthew Stafford. I wanted top things about him, keep in mind, is that he is, it was until this year extremely durable. He hasn't missed a game in like 8 years. This is the first time he missed a game in since I want to say 2012 or 2011. But Stafford's guy who I said it's tougher than 99-cent steak. The Ford family has decided that they're going to keep everybody, but they want to get to the playoffs. And it was funny because I was listening to DSA, the Detroit Sports Alliance, and my boy Luke G. By the way, check him out if you haven't already. I really disagreed with them, but they were like, hey, we should be thinking better in playoffs. You can't think better in playoffs. And I don't mean disrespect them, but I don't think that they were really on board. They're like, we need playoff wins. No, you don't. You're a 3-win team. You don't go from 3 wins to playoff victories. You need to just get to the playoffs. You should be happy just getting to the playoffs. And then you can talk about it. Look in case in point in Kansas City. 2 wins, hired Andy Reid. You get to the playoffs. You lose one of the worst playoff games of all time. I won't get into that. Next year, you miss the playoffs. Following year, you get a playoff win. I'm not saying it's going to take 3 years for the Lions to get a playoff win, but you don't go from 3 wins to playoff wins. But I think it's interesting that Patricia's going to stay. Changes are going to be made in the defensive staff. I think that's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to what the Lions are going to do in the draft, and I'm kind of getting carried away here. But in the NFL draft, it looks like Joe Burrow, who I got the game on DVR, I paused it. Joe Burrow against Oklahoma threw for 74 touchdowns, 74, a Peach Bowl record. I'm exaggerating slightly. I think it was 31. No, I mean it's crazy, but you have Joe Burrow, who I can almost guarantee you, unless he shoots a baby somewhere, he's going to be the first pick in the draft by the Cincinnati Bengals. Then you have Chase Young, who looks better than both Bosa brothers coming out of Ohio State. And both Bosa brothers play at a Pro Bowl level. Chase Young is one of the first prospects I've seen in a long time who you can almost pencil into the Pro Bowl as a rookie. I mean, this guy looks like a defensive end who's going to be a Pro Bowl player from day one. He's a guy that you can draft. So Detroit Lions, this is my opinion. Wait till the combine before I talk hardcore draft. But bottom line, you got Joe Burrow, you got Chase Young, and I think everybody else is just on different tier. I really think that if you have the 3rd pick in the draft, you're screwed, because that drop off is so big. I mean, is there a quarterback out there that you could say, hey, I mean, Tua's injured. I'm not sure about Herbert. Jordan Love, the Utah State kid's not going 3. I don't care. I watched the guy. Now, keep in mind, I watched the guy play in 2 blowout losses. This is not a guy. I don't even think he should go back to college. Jacob Eason, the Washington quarterback, he's not going 3rd. I mean, he's another guy. And Eason's situation's a little different. I agree with Eason coming out because Washington's going to bring in a whole new coaching staff. And, that's kind of the situation. Washington came off of a bad year. He's got tons of talent. And he's a guy that his agent's probably telling him, hey, you're going to go in the 1st round. He has a 1st-round body. The work is not of a 1st-round player, but will some team fall in love with him in maybe the teens or the 20s? Sure. I mean, the arm talent's good. But I don't see Jacob Eason going top 5. No quarterback except for Burrow is going to go top 5. So I think the Detroit Lions are almost screwed. Now, keep in mind, there's 2 offensive tackles. I know the guy from Georgia, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. And then there's Tristan Waifs, the left tackle for Iowa. He's another guy they're talking like. Both these guys got high rankings, but I don't think either one of these guys are even close to the prospect that Chase Young is. So anyway, I went on a rant there about the Lions. Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff are staying in Atlanta. if you had told me this like 6 weeks ago, I would have laughed at you. But what a good job the Falcons have done turning around their season. Kudos to Dan Quinn for really just not giving up and getting everybody to kind of rally behind him. Now, keep in mind, the Falcons, I think, have to get to the playoffs in 2020 for that the GM and the coach to stay around. But you have to realize something that they had the 12th pick in the draft, and I should have wrote this down. I didn't expect to go on a draft rant, but their first round pick, they chose 12th overall as a guard, Chris Lindstrom. Yeah, that's his name. He got hurt, didn't play almost the whole year. They had offensive line problems. They did nothing to fix the defense. This year, this offseason, they need to fix that defense. I think the offense is fine. Not as good as they were hoping, but still. Doug Marrone is going to be gone. Apparently, the rumors are he's going to be fired right after the game. No real surprise with Coughlin leaving and Jacksonville really underperforming. Jacksonville, to me, is an interesting situation because you have a team that's built to be a power run team, and they got a good defense. There's some really good players on that defense, but your quarterback situation's murky. I mean, the full signing was bad. I said, and I still stand behind this, I would build a team around Gardner Minshew, but did he do enough to say, hey, you got a franchise quarterback? No. You got 2 picks in the first round. Can you get a quarterback that you fall in love with? What I would do, and everybody was talking about this tank for Tua, Trevor Lawrence, when he comes out of Clemson, will be the number 1 pick in the draft. Trevor Lawrence is going to have a draft grade that is going to top anybody. Trevor Lawrence is a guy who I just have a huge crush on. I think he'll be much higher ranked than Joe Burrow. I think he'll be a guy that everybody's going to want. If you're Jacksonville, because you can't get out of that contract of Foles, I would almost get rid of one of those picks, try to get an extra draft pick for 2021. But Jacksonville, that's an interesting, because you have to have a team that builds around a power running game, Fournette, and you have a Cam Robinson who, if you're a drive blocking, power ISO running team, Jacksonville's great. If you're running a West Coast offense, you're almost screwed. And if you're running an offense that requires you to throw the ball a lot, Cam Robinson's not the best pass protector. A lot of people thought that he should be a right tackle, but Jacksonville put him on the left side. Doug Marrone, an old offensive line coach, they were going to run, play smash mouth. So it worked there. The other coach that I think will be gone is Freddie Kitchens from the Cleveland Browns. The team looked really unorganized, undisciplined, so much talent. But if you watched my preseason video, I said that this wasn't going to be their year. They're going to be about 500 team. They lose to Cincinnati. I think he's 100% gone. I think he's gone anyway. I really think he's gone anyway. All right. I will be releasing a Black Monday video. Other news, Marcus Peters, a 3-year, $42 million extension. Well-deserved. Well-deserved. I loved Marcus Peters. I thought he's a great addition. This guy's a ball hawk, makes big plays. Those of you who don't like him, he gives away big plays. When you have an offense like the Kansas City Chiefs have now, and when you have an offense like the Baltimore Ravens, you can give up a big play or two when you get the ball and you make picks, and he does that. When you have an explosive, high-powered offense, the whole goal is to have a defense that takes the ball away, and that's something Marcus Peters does. I actually think they got a bargain for a 3-year, $42 million extension. I think he's a legit number 1 corner, but you put him with Jimmy Smith and Marlon Humphrey, that secondary is loaded. Kudos to the Baltimore Ravens and the job they've done. And I thought this was just a brilliant move. So kudos to the Baltimore Ravens. Smart move. Whitney Merciless from Houston. He was set to be a free agent. He got a 4-year, $54 million contract. It's funny. I took the contract off my notes. Error on my part, but good move by the Houston Texans. They're trying to get J.J. Watt healthy for the playoffs. If he can come back for the playoffs, the Houston Texans, that's a dangerous team in the playoffs. I know a lot of people don't feel that way. I do. You have a team with a really good defense and a quarterback who's a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback who can make plays. Is he in Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes class? No, he's not. But is this one of the top 10 quarterbacks in football? Probably in the lower part, but yeah. That Deshaun Watson's a damn good quarterback. I mean, this is a really good player. No, he's not going to win an MVP this year, but this is a guy that you want on your team going into the playoffs. The Houston Texans have a team that's really scary. But kudos to them with Whitney Merciless. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to spend a ton of time here. If I go ahead and get some comments in, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Because bottom line, anything goes. Anything goes. We talk about what you want to talk about. I could sit here. I can literally talk football for hours on end. I haven't even broke down a game yet, and it's been like 20 minutes because I just love talking football. I'm doing the thing that I love to do more than anything else in the whole world. I love to talk football. So I'm just going to break down all these games. I'm not going to spend a lot of time over them, but if you have a comment, let me know what it is, and we'll go from there. Green Bay at Detroit. Detroit's a 12.5-point home dog. Green Bay, of course, has a chance for a 1 seed. They definitely could get a bye. With a win, they do get a bye. They are currently the 2 seed. Kudos to the Green Bay Packers with the rookie head coach looking really good. The defense is playing pretty well. Detroit Lions. I don't know if they're just going to wave the white flag and just give up, or if they can muster something to move forward into 2020. I think ideally they'd have a lot of roster turnover, but again, Lions are going to be a very interesting team in 2020. How do they do this week? I hope for Lions fans' sake that they play this game tough and do everything they can. I would hate to see a Packers blowout here. Atlanta at Tampa Bay. This is a pick 'em. Todd Bowles is rumored to be a head coach. Oh, God, excuse me. Todd Bowles rumored to be a head coaching candidate. On a side note, offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich, even though he's only been coaching for 3 years, this guy is going to be a head coach somewhere soon. This guy is going to be a coach. He's one of the guys that's really just rising through the ranks. It may not come in 2020, but I think in 2021, maybe 2022, this guy's going to be a head coach. He's going to be a good one. Todd Bowles, I think kind of got a real bad deal with the Jets. Real bad deal with the Jets. I think that he is going to be an excellent head coach whenever he gets a chance. If I'm the Giants, that's a team. That's a guy that I really think will get at least an interview by several NFL teams. If I'm Tampa Bay, I would love to keep him for another year, but he's a guy who's going to be a candidate. I'm not 100% sure he gets a job this year, but that's another topic for another day. Really good game, though. Atlanta and Tampa Bay, 2 teams really on the rise, 2 teams really looking forward to 2020. The Buccaneers got a lot of free agents, including Jameis Winston, who's going to hit over 5,000 yards. Really interesting what the Buccaneers doing this offseason. With Bowles leaving, that's going to be something to keep an eye on. If he stays in 2020, I think this could be a playoff team. If he doesn't, I would be a little skeptical, but both these teams are really going in the right direction for 2020. Chicago at Minnesota. Minnesota's a 3-point dog. Cook's not going to play. How many starters are going to play? Because Minnesota's locked in the 6th seed. They gain nothing. The Bears, I think Nagy 100% is going to come back, despite of what a lot of Chicago fans are going to say Trubisky's going to come back as the 2020 starter. That's the smart move. A lot of comparisons were made between him and Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, and that's really not fair because both the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs have had the same system and play the whole time. Trubisky hasn't had that. Plus, they lost some offensive talent in last year. Now, keep in mind, Houston Texans did also, but the Houston Texans had more talent available than Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, have much, much more talent. Seriously, almost everybody on the Kansas City Chiefs offense is better than everybody on the Bears. So you really want to build around Trubisky in 2020. That's a smart move. Despite of what most Bears fans, if you're watching this and you're going, stick with Trubisky, I'm telling you right now, that's a smart move, and that's what they're going to do. If you dump Trubisky, I think that's just dumb. I'm telling you right now, it's just dumb. But keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of free agent quarterbacks that are going to be available after this year. You can get a lot of guys that started. You can get somebody like, Joe Flacco, Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater, Eli Manning, guys that have won in this league and that can play. Maybe Phillip Rivers. A lot of talk. This may be his last game as a Charger. There's a lot of free agent quarterbacks to choose from, but if the Bears are smart, they'll stick with Trubisky, build around him for 2020. Then if it doesn't work, then 2021, move on. Anyway, I spent a little more time on the Bears than I wanted to. Chargers at Kansas City. Kansas City's a 9-point favorite. Of course, the Chiefs, if they want to buy, they need New England to lose. So I know I will be in attendance for that game. I'm really going to pay close attention to the New England Patriots. And of course, everybody at Arrowhead's going to be a Dolphins fan. That Miami is going to New England. New England's a 16.5-point favorite. Normally, I would say this is a smart move to bet on Miami, but New England, I said this in my last video, and I think that a lot of people are going to be surprised by this. Remember, going into 2018, the end of the season, the Patriots were only 2-2. They went into the playoffs 11-5, and a lot of people were wondering, hey, is this the year? And then they just kicked it up a notch. Really just dominated Chargers and punched Kansas City right in the mouth. Chiefs fans don't want to hear that. I was in attendance, and the Patriots just popped us in the mouth. They were a better team. So the Patriots, I think, are really scary because unlike any other team on either AFC or NFC, they're the one team that could really just jump it up into a different stratosphere. Plus, unless something really freaky happens, they're getting a bye. So beware of the Patriots. Saints at Carolina. Carolina's a 13-point dog. The Saints can still get a bye. Carolina, of course, they interviewed Mike McCarthy, which I thought was kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to see what he wants to do. More than likely, I think Carolina has to draft a quarterback. But it'll be very interesting to see what the Carolina Panthers do in this offseason. Mike McCarthy was kind of an interesting choice because in Green Bay, you had your quarterback situation set. Here you don't. Can he groom a quarterback? How helpful was he to make Aaron Rodgers one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time? That's something, that's going to be an interesting story. Again, they interviewed him. I think the Carolina Panthers will. I think it's a good idea for them to go with an offensive guy since they went Riviera for a long time. But I'm not sure McCarthy's really the answer. It'll be interesting to see what happens here in Carolina. Cleveland at Cincinnati. Talked about this briefly. Kitchen loses at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a 3-point dog. Kitchen will be fired, I think, if he loses this game. I do think he's going to be fired anyway. But I think that it's 100% guaranteed if they lose this game. I'm kind of curious how Cincinnati plays. They've been playing better, and they're going to be an interesting team in the offseason. I'm going to say it right now. I think that they're going to draft Joe Burrow number 1, and I wouldn't do it if I was the Bengals. I would draft Chase Young. I just mentioned there's a lot of free agent quarterbacks. Plus, if it doesn't work out, trade whatever you can to get Trevor Lawrence with the first pick in 2020, who's going to be a better prospect than Joe Burrow. Nothing against Joe Burrow. I'm just telling you, Trevor Lawrence is going to be better. Jets at Buffalo. Buffalo's a 1-point favorite. Buffalo's really been quiet on who's playing, who's not playing. I actually expect the Jets to win this game. I think Buffalo's going to play all backups. And I think it could be the Frank Gore show. I think Frank Gore may get a lot of carries. I think Barkley will end up starting. I have no idea. Maybe Buffalo wants to, go into the postseason on a good note. I expect them to play Houston in a very interesting game for the wild card. It'll be a lot of fun. Oakland at Denver. If you watched my previous video, this is a game I really recommend. Denver's a 3-point favorite at home. I like the Raiders. Bottom line, I am sorry, man. I am sorry. I like the Raiders here, and the reason why is that except for going 0-2 against Kansas City, he's 3-0 against the rest of the AFC West. And keep in mind, he beat the Broncos' first game of the season. Now it was in Oakland. But the Raiders and Gruden have really been able to play really well against AFC West, minus 2 games against Kansas City. But you got both teams that really, really on the rise for 2020. I think as a Chiefs fan, I'm kind of scared of the direction both the Raiders and Broncos are going. These are 2 teams really on the rise. I do like the Raiders to win this one, though. Just win outright. Forget the 3 points. So we'll see, because I really want to end this season on a three game. I said 3 games. I want to win the parlay, and hopefully that'll happen. We'll see. Arizona at Los Angeles, and there's talk about Wade Phillips being on the outside, and I don't see that at all. I think that's really silly. You got one of the best defensive coordinators in football. Why would you want to change things? Why do you want to shake things up? I don't get that at all. Has there been a decrease in performance? Sure, but I mean, you had Aqib Talib who missed almost a whole season. You got rid of Marcus Peters, which look what he's doing in Baltimore. I thought trading for Ramsey, he gave up a lot. You got a good player. Now you got to pay him. I think getting rid of Phillips is the wrong move here. If you do, he's not going to be out of work long. Wade Phillips is a easy top 10 defensive coordinator in this league, and he's got head coaching experience. But I've never spoke with Wade Phillips, but I'm under the impression that he could be an NFL head coach if he wanted to. He just doesn't want to be an NFL head coach. He just wants to coach defense, and he does a great job. Any one of the teams I mentioned that's going after a new head coach, I think whoever gets any one of the new head coaching jobs, if they could choose Wade Phillips to be their defensive coordinator, I think almost every single one of them would love that. So I think it would be a bad move by the Rams, but it is something I'm kind of curious, because usually when there's smoke, there's fire. So this is something, keep an eye out on this here. Where was I? Okay, here I am. Tennessee at Houston. Houston's a 6-point dog. Now, this is an afternoon game. So after the Chiefs beat the Chargers, Houston has the opportunity to rest their starters. Vegas is predicting this. So that's why Houston's a 6-point dog at home. Keep in mind, if Kansas City loses this game and you took Tennessee, you're a genius. You're just a fucking genius. With a loss, of course, they can get the 3 seed, but I don't see that happening. I mean, come on, let's be real. It'll be interesting how many players play in this game, because bottom line, Tennessee needs to win and get in. Okay, they need to win and get in. But if they do lose Pittsburgh, which is traveling to Baltimore is a 2-point dog because they're resting a lot of their team, including NFL MVP Lamar Jackson. Pittsburgh, if they win, Tennessee loses, Pittsburgh will get the 6th seed. You're basically fighting to play the Kansas City Chiefs in a wild card matchup. Keep in mind, Tennessee Titans have won their last 3 at Arrowhead, including a playoff win. I know a lot of Chiefs fans are worried about Tennessee Titans. I'd also be worried about Pittsburgh Steelers, which have done pretty well at Arrowhead Stadium, especially in the playoffs. I'm referring to a couple of years ago, won a really close game, a good game, to be perfectly honest. But also on a side note here, Mike Tomlin's my coach of the year. You know, for him to have an opportunity week 17 after losing Roethlisberger after an 0-3 start is amazing. So give I'm not a Steelers fan, give tons of credit to Mike Tomlin. Washington at Dallas. Dallas is a 12-point favorite. I said as soon as Callahan got the job, if he gets 4 wins, he'll get an interview. 5, he gets the job. 6, it's the lock. He had a chance last week, I think, to really give himself the best opportunity in a game against the Giants. He gave himself the best opportunity to get the job. With a win here, I think he gets a better interview. Excuse me. I don't see a situation where Callahan really gets this job, and even with a win, because I say he needed a minimum of 4, and with a win here, he can get 4. I think with a win here, Garrett gets fired like maybe during the post game conference. But I actually expect Dallas to win this game, but I think Philly will win that division, even though I predicted Dallas would win the division for several months. So I feel silly there. If the Redskins are smart, I think they interview Callahan, but I think that because of the guys that they've already brought in, that they're prepared to go in a different direction. Will the Cowboys cover 12? That's a big number, especially in division game, but I could see it. I have a hard time believing that when your team's interviewing other head coaches that you know Callahan's not really going to be around. So this is a game that, even though 12 is a big number, I think Dallas covers. Indianapolis at Jacksonville. Jacksonville 6-point dog in this one. I already mentioned Doug Marrone's on his way out. That's kind of common sense. That's going to be a team that's very interesting to follow. Touch base on Washington for a second. Washington's second-round draft pick goes to Indianapolis. I don't remember the specific trade that was made for Indianapolis to get that pick, and that's going to be a great pick. It's currently the 34th pick in the draft. I say currently. I'm not saying Washington's going to win the game, but due to that thing that happened with the Patriots, I think there's a chance Patriots forfeit the first pick in the draft, so it could end up being the 33rd pick in the draft. But bottom line, the second pick in the second round belongs to the Indianapolis Colts. The Washington Redskins, however, could trade out of that second spot. And that's something that I'll talk about a little more here, because they don't have a second-round pick. They may want to trade down, even though I think Chase Young would be a Pro Bowl defensive end right away. They may want to just say, hey, we need a left tackle. We need another wide receiver. We need some help on the defensive side of the ball, especially if they want to go with a different scheme defensively. A lot of things could happen there, and that's going to be an interesting topic. I'm a draft fan, can't you tell? I'm already thinking about draft, and my Chiefs are prime AFC champion candidates. AFC candidate, you know what I'm trying to say. Philadelphia is at New York Giants. Giants are 3.5-point dog. Philadelphia winning in. I think Shermer's gone no matter what. And I think out of every position that's going to be available, I think the Giants are the best. You have a bright young quarterback. Saquon Barkley, I think, is going to win an MVP, barring health. I think the most physically gifted running back in the NFL. So San Francisco at Seattle, and Seattle's a 3.5-point dog. I love this game because I think Seattle's going to win. If you want to just chicken out and take 3.5, I would not blame you one bit. I love this game because I think Seattle's going to win. Marshawn Lynch, they signed him when Carson had that injury. I don't know how much he's going to play. I have no clue. And I don't think it matters either. To tell you the truth, I think they win anyway. It's going to be a fun game, a great game, and give a lot of credit to the NFL for picking the best game of the season to be the last game of the season. And it's always fun to kind of trash the NFL and say, oh, it's always fun to do that. But kudos to the NFL because that Sunday night game is must-see TV. Even if you're a fan of an AFC team like myself, I mean, this is going to be must-see TV. I think Seattle wins this, and I think San Francisco will get the 5 seed. And whoever is the 5 seed, whether it's San Francisco or Seattle, you're going to play the NFC East winner. So now keep in mind, Seattle, let me touch base on this a little more. If Seattle wins, the best they can do is get a 3 seed. San Francisco wins, they're 100% the 1 seed no matter what. If San Francisco loses, they're the 5 seed. So they're either 1 or 5. That there's no other number. Seattle can be 3 or 5. But if Seattle loses, Seattle's going to play San Francisco again. And I say that because I don't see Minnesota going on the road and beating either the Saints or Green Bay. So if Seattle does lose, these two teams will play again in 2 weeks. If Seattle wins, which I predict, you'll see either a Green Bay or Saints San Francisco matchup, and what will be, and then you know what? Hold on here. Seattle would have the 5 seed, okay. And then Seattle would play. Okay, let me get there. Seattle wins. San Francisco would get 5 seats, so San Francisco would advance. Seattle would play Minnesota, and I think Seattle would win that game. Minnesota's not been a good road team all year, but so they would advance, and they would end up playing the 2 seed, which in this scenario, let's just say it's Green Bay. And that'd be a fun game. All right. I made that really fucking confusing. So bottom line, the way I see the NFC playoffs, and I've been saying this for a while, I think the Saints are going to get the 1. I think Green Bay will get the 2. Seattle will get the 3. Philly, unless they choke, will get the 4. San Francisco, despite being a really, really good football team, will get the 5. Minnesota's the 6. And I'm going to break down every single playoff game. I'm going to do an individual video. And, of course, you can always email me right here. Listen, this is going to be my last live stream for a while. I love doing this. And if you have any questions, of course, you can always email me at askandrewsfootball@yahoo.com. This is my favorite thing in the world to do is talk football. So if there's something you want me to discuss, just shoot me an email. And of course, I'm trying to help people get paid. So it's one of the things I love doing. And I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I may go ahead and start doing a live stream again once I'm doing daily videos. And that's going to be after the combine. Tentatively, it looks like the combine, and nothing's been officially announced, but it looks like the combine is going to start. Looks like February 26th, I believe, 26th or 27th. It's going to run till March the 1st. And so what I'm going to do is either on March the 2nd or March the 9th, more than likely it'll be March 2nd, right after the combine, I'll start with my first video with putting Cincinnati on the clock. And the reason why I might start right after the draft is because I already said it. I've said it several times actually today. Joe Burrow will be the first pick in the draft. I personally, I would go with Chase Young, get a veteran to come in, but that's a different topic for a different day. Basically, I hope everybody had a great Christmas. I love each and every single one of you. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you know you're one of the greatest people on planet Earth. All your wildest dreams are going to come true. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you Tuesday.